Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is John Vine, and what we're going to be talking about today is using motivation and using discipline to learn how to code, right? This is very important, especially when you're starting out. And you guys might have realized in the past couple of videos I touched on this, but after touching on this subject in my last couple of videos, I figured I'd make a whole video about it because it really is something that I learned through other YouTubers myself, but it's something that I think everyone should know, and it really applies to learning how to code. And basically what I'm talking about is, I've gotten some messages about how do you stay motivated when you're coding, how do you find the motivation every day to get up and work on side projects or your portfolio, whatever it may be, or learn how to code. How do you find the motivation? And what I would say to that is kind of, motivation is a dangerous game to play, because obviously motivation is a great thing, right? It motivates you to work, it lets you accomplish certain tasks when you don't really feel like it. But what motivation is it's a short-term play, right? It's really good in short bursts. We've all been there where, you're kind of feeling lazier and you want to get to work, and then you watch a video, on YouTube or on Instagram. It could be like The Rock working out or whatever it may be, but it really kind of like you watch and you're like, wow, this person is, succeeding, they're living their best life. I want to live the same thing. You kind of get motivated for a couple hours, you do a lot of good work, but then once that's over, once that like dopamine rush is over of that motivation, you're like, okay, now what? Right? You want to keep working, but you're like, nah, I'd rather not, I'm lazy, or whatever it may be. The next day goes by, you don't watch another video, nothing comes up on your Instagram stories, and then no work gets done that day either. And that's where discipline comes in, right? If you're always looking for motivation, you're not always going to find it. You might find it sometimes, like I said with the videos, but really what happens is that motivation is hard to find, especially if you're looking for it all the time. You need some motivation to work. What you want to do is you want to cultivate discipline so that, even at times where you're not motivated and you don't want to get the work done, that you have to, and you set aside certain times, and you've built this habit long enough that you're going to get the work done regardless of if you're motivated or not. And that is the best place to be. You cannot rely on motivation for you to get your work done, because you're not going to get as much work done in the long run. Like you might be motivated certain days, but then most of the days you're not going to be, and you'll realize quickly that it adds up and that you're not making as much progress as if you were disciplined every day. So like we can use this as an example kind of basically with coding, where one person is really motivated, so they code for like 4 hours one day, right? It's awesome, they got a lot of work done, but very quickly they realize that they've reached their threshold of motivation. That video they watched earlier on in the day can only do so much, and at a certain point you're burnt out, you don't want to work anymore because you just spent the last couple of hours working. And with these small hits of motivation, they're not making that much progress. It's going to take a long time for this person to reach their goals because they're only relying on these motivation hits. Whereas let's say someone else is more disciplined, right? They code 1 hour a day. They know that they set aside a plan, they have a schedule every single day. They're going to code for 1 hour at minimum, and they're going to take one day off a week. And this way you get burnt out a lot slower. You can actually focus on getting some work done without overexerting yourself. And the thing is, if you're going 1 hour a day, you'll realize a week goes by, you'll have looked back, seen that, okay, I accomplished my goals for this week, I coded an hour a day, and then you're going to be able to go ahead and do it the next week and the next week and the next week. See guys, like the person who relies just on motivation might be able to code for 6 hours in one day, but the person who relies on discipline and cultivates these habits can code for 6 months straight. And now who's gonna build more progress in that time period, right? The person who coded for 6 hours one day, or 6 months 1 hour a day. These, like, if you can cultivate the discipline, your odds of actually achieving your goals, of actually building side projects, learning a different language, learning how to code, and really getting that dev job in 2021 are much higher than if you're just relying on motivation. If the person who's relying on motivation isn't motivated, they're not going to work. If the person who's disciplined isn't motivated, they're still going to work. And that's where the difference is, and that's the secret to being able to build these habits and actually succeeding. With coding, what can we do, right? I've talked in the past about setting yourself a schedule, making like a very detailed plan that you can go by day, week by week, month by month, knowing exactly what you're going to be working on. And if you're trying to build this discipline, what you can maybe do is at first don't go overboard. Say that you're going to read for 30 minutes a day, you're going to read a book about coding. Say there's a book you really wanted to read about JavaScript, you're going to read it, and then maybe you code for 30 minutes a day. Stuff like this, very simple things like this, will ensure that you're getting into a habit and a schedule without burning yourself out, and you're easing your way into it, kind of. I watched an interesting video about this kind of similar topic before, where this guy wanted to wake up early and he really couldn't get himself to do it, right? He wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, but he couldn't. He couldn't. Anything he tried, he'd just be too lazy or whatever it is. So what he tried is he'd wake up at 5 a.m., then play video games for like 3 hours, and then get to work, right? So what he did first was build the habit. You know, regardless of getting the work done or whatever it may be, he just wanted to be able to wake up at 5 a.m. So, you know, for a month or two, he just woke up at 5 a.m., played video games for 3 hours, enjoyed himself, built this habit, and then before you know it, he was waking up at 5 a.m. regardless. Now, at this point, you can kind of ease off the video games and kind of do what you actually want to do. So something like this, where you ease your way into it, you know, you have to realize it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. There's no deadline and there's no time limit. You can ease your way into it. All you have to make sure is that you build the right habits and you maintain the right discipline. So guys, you want to become a dev in 2021, you know, I really think that if you take what's in this video, really take it to heart, that it'll really help you. You know, really try to build some discipline and start off small. Like I said before, with side projects, start off as simple as possible. You want to start off very small, and the earlier you do, the quicker, you know, you'll be able to build up and really start applying for jobs, or, you know, start learning different languages. One thing that also helps me stay disciplined at certain times in my life is, you know, different apps that let you maintain streaks. So basically every day you complete a task, you hit the button and, you know, it says, okay, you build up a streak. So stuff like that helps me stay disciplined. So maybe, you know, you can use similar apps like that, whatever it may be. But guys, the most important thing is you have to maintain discipline. Don't just rely on motivation, on small bursts of dopamine to accomplish your tasks, right? So as always, guys, if you've enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. If you think there's anything that I missed, leave a comment in the comment section below. If there's anything you know, you want to add, or anything you disagree or agree with, go ahead. And as always, guys, enjoy your coding and have a nice day.